You are listening to the Shopify Solutions Podcast, a podcast for Shopify store owners that brings you concrete examples on how to build and grow your e-commerce brand. Your host is Scott Austin. He owns a Shopify agency called Jade Puma. In this podcast, Scott will share his e-commerce insights and best practices with you.
Hey everyone, Scott Austin here. And I was recently talking to a client of mine and explaining to them how we had created an image for them. They sell this device called a palm bell, which is a pom-pom and a cowbell combined. And what I did is I took one of their photos, because they have brand new photography because it's a brand new product. So they don't have a lot of lifestyle images yet. They just have a lot of product photos. So I took one of their product photos and I gave it to Gemini AI and said, take this product and put it in the hands of a fan at a football game. And the image it gave was pretty cool. The team, as I'm talking to them, they're like, how did you do that? And what I realized when I was having that conversation with them is how many of the things that I do every day, because I do this stuff every day, this stuff being, an agency building out e-commerce stores, how much of the stuff that I do every day that I take for granted, not every store owner is aware can be done and how easily some of those things can be done. So what I want to focus on in this episode is to show you examples of custom code that we've done here at Jade Puma in our client stores just in the past couple weeks. I just actually went through my most recently done projects and opened them up and came up with a list of ideas that I want to show you. So this is just a representative sample of things we've recently done to illustrate how we can use custom code to further the store experience, right? You all have in your Shopify stores a theme that you've added, and that theme gives you lots of flexibility and lots of control. But there's probably things you want to do that the theme doesn't allow you to do because the theme can't cover every scenario. These examples here are probably going to be things you're like, oh, I wish I could do that in my store. And I want to just let you know it is possible to do these things. And I'll try to give you a feeling for how easy or how complex they are. Every theme in the Shopify store allows us to edit all of the code inside of it. And that's a nice open framework. So we can go in and change lots of things if we want to. Now, every time we change things, every time we edit code, that takes time of a developer, which means money for the store. So, you don't want to go hog wild, to your heart's desire and do everything you can think of. But when your business really needs it, updating your theme or editing the code of your theme is something that is, possible and pretty easy a lot of the times. All right, so let's dig into it. I'm going to go to the first example, and this is the store I was just talking about. This is Palm Bells, and what I did in this page is this is a product page in the Flex theme. All the examples I'm going to show you are the Flex theme, just because I use the Flex theme for all my store builds. But this type of stuff can be done in any theme. It's not unique to Flex, the editing of the themes. You're probably used to a product page on the left showing you product photos and on the right showing you the product form. Well, in this one, we added a product options app because you have two big selections you're making. The first one is the bell color. And you notice when I changed the bell color, this is the product options app kicking in. It changes the images for the pom-poms to match the color you selected for the bell. You're probably used to, in a product page, having variant-specific product photos. So when you click your variant options, the product photo that's normally on the left will show up and match the selections you've made. But this product options app doesn't do that. We're doing that inside of the product options app. So what I realized in this store is that the product photos aren't necessary. So all I had to do was go in and edit out and just hide, basically, the product photos from showing up on this product page. Other product pages, we show them, but on this specific product where they're building their own palm bell by selecting their bell color first and then their pom-pom color second, there wasn't a need to have those product photos. They weren't adding value. So all we did is we added a custom liquid section in the product template, and then we added some code in that custom liquid section to hide via CSS the left side of the page, which is the product photos, and then we also added some CSS to the right side, the normal product form of the product page, to make it full width of the page instead of just half width. Doing this probably took 10, 15 minutes to do, But this is also a theme I'm very comfortable with, and I know all the classes to do it and how to do the CSS. But not a hard thing at all to literally just have your product form be full page width instead of half page width. So the next example is, let's go to a T-Box Dice. They sell one product in this store, and it's this set of dice that you use when you're, teeing off on golf to decide which tee you're going to swing from to change the distance that you're playing at, kind of thing. And it's just a way to make your golf game more fun with your friends. And because it's a one product store, we have here on the home page a featured product photo. Just to clarify for you that are watching this on video, this theme is actually not the Flex theme. I just said a minute ago that everything's in the Flex theme. This store is in, I forget which theme it is, but we haven't put in Flex in this store. But they have a featured product element here on the home page, and it allows for a slider of the different product images. This link here, the product title, was not clickable. The only thing that clicked was the add to cart or the view full details. And the store staff was like, well, we only have one product, so we're going to put it on the homepage, which makes sense. But if they have any questions, we want them to go to the product page, which has a lot more information about the product. We have all the photos. We actually have videos on that page also. And they have a product, description and a lot of copy that explains how you play, this game while you're playing golf. So what we did is we opened up the featured product section in the theme and changed a couple things. One was we made the product image clickable. So when you click it, it takes you to the product page. And the same thing with the product title. It's also now clickable. So basically, if you click almost anywhere in this section except for the add to cart button, it'll take you to that product page to learn more. But if you click the add to cart button, it'll add it to your cart. So here I'm just going to click on the product image, and instead of expanding the image on the home page, it takes me to that product page, and I can see the other information that's there, which is a lot more rich information on the home page. And this was a really simple edit. It probably took 10-15 minutes also to do. Next, I want to show you Emerson Knives. They obviously sell knives, and they have a whole assortment of knives. I think they have about 50 of them in their catalog right now. They have hundreds in their catalog over their lifetime. They've been around for decades. And each knife has all these unique aspects to it. People that, buy knives and collect knives really care about. So there's a lot of information on this product page as I scroll down that's important for the customers when they're making the decisions. So you can see we have an accordion with lots of information embedded inside of it. The first thing in the accordion is the specifications, where we talk about the dimensions, the weight, the materials, and those kind of things. And then we have more detail about the blade material. So we tell you more about the metal that's used and how hard it is or how soft it is, and important information when making your decision. We also talk about the finish options, because the steel blades can come in different colors and different finishes, and people care about those things. And then farther down, we also show all the other knives that are in the same family as this knife. So this knife is called the CQC7B. And when I go down to the bottom of that product page, I see the CQC7 family. There's a 7A, a 7 trainer, a 7 flipper, there's a mini. So they got all these different variations. So in case you want the CQC7, but you might not be on the right version of it, you can see all the other versions on this page. So there's lots of content on this product page. And the way we did that is we took all that content and we made meta fields for them, and sometimes meta objects. So all the information is stored in meta objects and meta fields. And then what we have to do when we're adding these elements in theme customization, this accordion here, for example, isn't the standard one that comes from the Flex theme. We have a custom one in our Flex theme sections app that allows you to add more content types than is available in the Flex theme sections accordion section. And we also, you can bind those elements to the meta field. So we have some if-then statements that we've added. That's the custom code we've added here, even to our Flex theme sections app, that it searches, for example, on blade material, it searches for the meta field blade material. And when it sees that, there's a value there, it then takes that value, does a lookup to the information about that blade material, and puts it into the accordion. But then there's also logic that says, well, if that meta field is blank, then don't show the blade material accordion. So if the store doesn't have the content they need for that meta field, they can just leave it blank, and the theme section comes along and says, oh, that meta field's blank. Don't add the title or the header for that accordion or the other content on the page. So that allows us to use one product template across all the products in the catalog, because we added the if-then logic to all the meta field values that says, if it's blank, don't show it. If it has content, go ahead and show it and put it here, kind of thing. Now, this took a little bit more work to do than the 10, 15 minutes of the other examples, but this is something we do in a lot of stores now. We're putting a lot of product information into meta fields, and actually in 2025, we're starting to put a lot of product information into meta objects also. And then we have to go through and customize all the sections that we're building or using for building out the product pages to add those if-then statements that if the meta field is blank or if the meta object is blank, then don't show anything from this section on that product's page. Useful stuff we do all the time for all of our stores now. Now, the next one is pilot test charts, and they've rolled out a new product. So they have these navigation charts that they're selling to pilots who are the people that help big ships come into the port of Long Beach or something. And they have these test charts, which you actually go to the Coast Guard office when you take your test to get your license. And when you buy these test charts, they actually ship them to that Coast Guard office. So you can see on the product page, we have an image that says Rec Test Chart, shipped directly to Rec Long Beach for testing. We want to reinforce to the customer when they buy this product, we're not shipping it to them. It's going to be shipped to the Coast Guard office, and you're going to go there and use this product once you purchased it. So what happens is when I add this to the cart, before I can add it to the cart, there's also a couple pieces of information that the Coast Guard office is going to need so they know when the person walks in that they're the person that gets access to this test. So one of them is their Mariner reference number, so I'm just going to throw in a number there. And that was a line item property and a little code that we added to this form. And basically here what we have is two meta fields that says, are you going to collect an MRN, yes or no, it's a true false, and are you going to have a full name? And if those are true, the code is set up to put in these data entry forms so that people can actually put their information in, and the code also adds those as line item properties in the order and in the checkout. And I'll show you what that looks like here when I hit the add to cart button. What we've also done here is there's a third line item property form on this page that's hidden, and that's going to also on this product add a line item that talks about how this product gets shipped to the Coast Guard office. So we add it to our cart, and here you can see the reference number I just put in, the Mariner reference number, and then the name that I just put in, and then the address that it gets shipped to. The customer put in the reference number and they put in their name, but we added those as line item properties, so that reinforces it for them and everybody processing the order. And then we added from that hidden line item meta field the address that it goes to. And I think we store that in a meta field also. So if the meta field exists with the address, then we have that hidden line item property on the product page, and then it automatically gets added to the cart when somebody adds that product to the cart. This also wasn't that hard to do. It probably took an hour, hour and a half to edit it and test it out a few different scenarios to make sure it worked properly. Kind of similar to that, but there's a couple other nuances we added to it, is on Bixby Chocolate. They have an advent calendar, and as I'm recording this right now, it's September, and the advent calendar doesn't ship until November 15th. But they're allowing customers to pre-order that advent calendar. So a couple code changes we made was triggered by a meta field. So the meta field is just a simple true-false for pre-order. So if the meta field for pre-order is set to true, there's a couple changes we make. The first one is we change the add to cart button's text to say pre-order. So even as I'm adding that product to the cart, the customer is reminded that this is a pre-order. We're not going to ship this right now. It's going to ship later on. And then we also, just like on the test pilot charts site, where we have that hidden meta field, we also have a hidden meta field here that gets added once we hit that pre-order button and add it to the cart. So when I go to the cart, I now see that there's a line item property that says Note, orders for Advent calendar will be held and will ship in November. So there's that reminder in the cart to the customer that, hey, this product's not going to ship right now. You're going to get it later on. And whenever they get their notifications or they look at their order status page, they're going to see that line item property. So there's that constant reminder throughout the post-purchase experience that there's going to be delayed gratification with this product.
As a Shopify store owner, you understand how useful cross-sells are to your business. They're a great way to increase average order value, and they're also really powerful for your customers. For example, here, the customer with a chocolate puffin may also want to buy the puffin gift card. Or a customer buying a meal plan may also want to buy a snack plan. Or a customer buying a home bar may want to get an important accessory for that bar. And nothing goes more natural with a duvet cover than the duvet insert. Now, traditionally for cross-sells, what a lot of stores are doing is that they cross-sell in the cart. Like here, or they'll even do a bundle app on the product page. Like here. Now, there's nothing wrong with these cross-sells, and they can be useful for your business. But with linear shopping experiences, we have a more powerful way to do cross-sells. This is especially useful in the case where there's more than one option. So here, trying to bundle this puffin with one gift card could be easy in a bundle app here on the product page. But let's say there's more than one type of gift card for the customer to choose from. This is where linear shopping experiences comes in. You click on the Add to Cart button, that product is added to the cart, and then we ask the customer right then, hey, do you want to add a gift card to your puffin gift? Yes, please. And then they're taken to see all the different gift card options. Maybe they want a moose or a lobster or one of the different puffins. They get to choose whichever one of the products they want. They get asked after adding the meal plan, do they want to add snacks to their order? And then they see a whole bunch of different snack options to choose from. Now on the bar example, there's only one accessory for the bar. We say, hey, do you want to look at the cutting board insert accessory? If they say yes, we can take them straight to that product page. And for the duvet cover, there is actually more than one duvet insert available in the store. They get to see all the different duvet insert options that they have. So Linear Shopping Experience is an app that's going to naturally place in a very intuitive, logical format for your customers. Cross-sells into your store, and for every given product, you can do a unique cross-sell so that cross-sells can point to a collection, a product page, or even just a page, like a landing page that you've designed for that cross-sell experience. Add Linear Shopping Experience to your store now and get the benefits of these natural and intuitive cross-sales for your business.
Moving on to our next example, this is Botanical Medicine. This is a store we're working on right now. It's not live yet. We're transferring this store from another platform. And one of the things that they do is they have conferences twice a year, and people sign up and pay in advance for their conferences. And in their old platform, it was a very manual process. And we're trying to streamline it a little bit, just using normal products inside of Shopify and having them purchased in a slightly different way. So this is what we call a quick order form. The quick order form is something that we have in our Flex Theme Sections app, but this one needed quite a bit of customization for their unique business scenarios, right? So what the quick order form does is we're actually on a collection page, not on a product page. And what we're doing is we're showing all the products with the ability to add those products to the cart in the collection page. But there's not like a little individual add to cart button for each one. It's more of like a spreadsheet view where you can adjust the quantity you want for any given line item or any given product in the variants and product options of that product. So the first one is event registration. And right now there's two options for event registration that's open. One is, in-person attendance because it's before March 7th, so like early bird. And then there's also online attendance. There's also a couple other options shown for in-person for later than March 7th, but those are shown as out of stock right now because it's before March 7th. So you get savings for being an early bird, but we're showing people and reinforcing that, hey, if you don't purchase now, that price is going to go up as we get nearer to the conference date. And then there's pre-events activities that they could attend. There's also a social event that they have to pay to attend, continuing education credits, and a tote bag. So all these different products. On one page, they can, sit here and think for a minute, like, do I want to go to the social event? And they can say yes and add that to their cart. But what we've also done is, and we did this based on the store staff's feedback, is they frequently in their old system had people sign up for like the pre-event or the social event, but they didn't sign up for the event registration. So we also have some code in here that requires them to sign up for event registration first, and then they can add the other products to their order. So as I tried to add the social event, I got an error message, and the page scrolled up that error message and said, you must add the required event registration product to your cart before adding other items. That's kind of awkward text. We actually just made this weekend, but we also, in the section that we made for this, made that text string a setting in theme customization, so store staff will be able to come in, change that text to whatever they want it to be that's better and more authentic for their brand and their audience instead of our awkward developer text. And we always try to do that when we're doing customizations. We try to give as much power to store staff to edit things as possible without having it hard-coded in the code and require us, the developers, to go back and open it up if they wanted to change some wording. But now if I go in and I select my online or my in-person event registration, this quick order form highlights that in green, so I know, hey, that's in my cart. And my cart icon actually changed and added a product to it. So we're actually adding the products. Even though we're not moving anywhere, we're still on that collection page. It is now added to our cart. And if I was to leave this page and come back, it would look at the cart that you have on your current session, match all the products that are in there, if any are in there from this quick order form, and would highlight them and change the quantities in the quick order form so you know what's already in the cart. And now that I've added event registration, I can just sign up for the pre-event if I want, and the social event, and the other products that are available in this quick order form. And then in one click of the button, I can view my cart, and all those products are already added there. So now what we have is the ability for this customer to come into one page, see all their options for this conference, decide which ones they want to have, and opt into those in one checkout, one credit card purchase, add all of those to their cart. Now, this, was based on the Flex Theme Sections. It's an app that we provide here at Jade Puma. The quick order form was based on that, but then we had to do some heavy customization to that for the ability to require the event registration before anything else. If I was to start scratch on a new theme, or if I didn't already have the Flex Theme Sections with the quick order form, it would take some work to make this page. And by some work, I'm thinking, 5 to 10 hours, depending on how much testing is needed. But, totally in the realm of possibility. And when I showed this to the store staff, they were super excited. They said, this is going to help, our customers understand the purchase scenarios better. It's going to help prevent mistakes that have happened in the past, which, is a customer support hassle. So they were really pleased with the automations that we could add, the business rules that we could implement and enforce for their business model. So let's move on to another store that we're working on that is not launched yet, and that is Classic 45s. This is being migrated from a SQL server-based store that was built in 2001. So it's going to have quite a dramatic upgrade once we launch it, which I'm super excited about. And on this one, they're selling 45 records, right, for jukeboxes and that type of use case. And they've got over 65,000, I believe, records in the store. There's 14 to 20,000 or so available right now. But once they sell a record, they keep it in the catalog, even though they don't have inventory for it, because there's a lot of information about each of these records, as I'll show you here in a second. And we don't want to lose all that valuable data about these 45 records. So if we scroll down on the product page, we've actually built out a table with all sorts of information. And this is all done through meta fields. I think we have 54 meta fields at the product level for this store. And we have meta fields that we show to customers. And we also have meta fields for store staff that they use in evaluating the product, trying to figure out how to price it and all those kind of things. We even have the ability to show those store staff-based meta fields in the customer-facing side of the website. If you're logged in the store and tagged as an admin, we show you all the back-end, back end in air quotes, meta fields that are for the store staff to use. But here on the front end, we have condition about the record. We show the details about the song and the disc. We even have MP3 snippets for some of them, and we can play those snippets so people can listen to the song and, like, oh, that is the song I thought it was. And then we have information about the A side and the B side of the record, like the artist, the track time, the producers, all sorts of information. And then in this case here, the artist for this is Sister Sledge, and at the bottom of the product page, we show all of the available records from the artist Sister Sledge in case someone wants to collect them all or something like that. So this is all, once again, done through metafields. We're using metafields a lot in stores these days, like I said before. And we've got all that, conditional logic. So we built out this table to display, all the metafields we wanted to show on the customer side of the website. But then each one of those metafields in the table, we had to put that conditional logic. We had to decide for that metafield, would we have conditional logic? For example, in the product I'm looking at right now, we have 5 things we evaluate the condition of. One is the overall product. The second one is the label. The third is the sleeve. The fourth is the vinyl or the record. And the fifth is the audio quality. For this record, the sleeve, there's actually no evaluation for whatever reason. It might not have a sleeve or they just haven't done it yet. But we show that, title, the sleeve title, because we actually want to show them, well, we didn't evaluate it for whatever reason. So we had to make decisions on each one of these meta fields. Are we going to hide it if it's null, or are we going to show it anyways if it's null? But in the end, you get this rich table of information about the record, and that's also consistently displayed across all the product pages. So the customers will be able to say, like, if they care about a certain piece of information, they're going to remember, after looking at 15 different records, oh, it's stored in this part of the table, where previously what the store had done, it was all in the description, right? And there was no consistency in the text of the description of where things were stored. So sometimes the producer information would be at the top, other times it would be at the bottom, and it'd be hard for the customer to find that information. But now that it's in meta fields, we can have a very consistent layout in our tables. And what we can also do is some very powerful stuff with collections and filters, now that all this data is more structured than just inside of a text field. And I'll show you that here in the next thing that we did for Classic 45s. So, as I mentioned before, there's like 65,000 records in the store, 14 to 20,000, I forget which, live and available for sale. And from that, there's like 5,000 artists. In this store, we made artists, the product vendor field in the Shopify back end is the artist in this case. If I look, I'm going to click on ABBA, for example, and we have a collection of all the records from ABBA. Now, if I go back for a second, the page I'm on right now is a page we built, and it's all custom code. And what it is, it's shop by artist. So there's 5,000 artists on this page, and we made a collection for each one of these artists, which is a whole process. It was a lot of fun figuring out all that data. Some collections are empty today because they don't have, that artist, all their records are sold. Remember, we have 3 times as many records in the catalog than are available today because the other 2/3 have been sold. So what we do on this page is we go through the list of all the artist collections, determine if that collection has any available products in it. If it does, we add it to this page. We also have some, quick links. So this page, as I scroll through, is really, really long, right? There's over 5,000 artists listed on this, and I've done it in 3 columns, but, as the whole time I've been talking about how long this list is, I've been scrolling the page, and I just got to the bottom. So it's really hard for people to find, the one they're looking for. Let's say they want the Rolling Stones. So at the top, we have a little quick nav. You just click on R, and then you can find the Rolling Stones. So now I can see all the R's, and I'm going to look and see if I can find Rolling Stones. And I'm going to look for RO in the list. It's all alphabetical. And I'm up to RC, RG, RNN. So it's going to be in here somewhere. Rolling Stones. Now, the interesting thing here is the artist's title name is The Rolling Stones, but we've got it under the R's, and alphabetically under the R's is under RO, not under the, because we have some business rules that the store staff gave us around how we display artist names on this list. For example, I'm also looking at Kenny Rogers right above the Rolling Stones. Well, Kenny Rogers is under the R's because we go by last name if it's an artist name. Rolling Stones, the Rolling Stones is under R because we don't take into account the on artist names. But if I look at another artist name like Rockwell, there's no the before it, so it's in the R's also. So what we had to do is create some rules around the three different types of artist names. Artist name rule number 1 was for if it's a person's name, then we go with the last name. Artist rule number 2, if it's just a band name like Rockwell, then we just put it there. And then 3 is if it's a band name with a the, we don't consider the. So we had to have rules behind all of that, and our code accounts for all of that. So, what it's doing when we load this page up, and I'm going to do a hard refresh here in a second, and you can see it load up because it takes a little bit of time to do that because it's going to go through all of the artist collections that we have, which we're only going to show 5,000, but there's more than that of all those sold out artists. And then it's going to alphabetize that list of them using the specific rules that we talked about to put them in the alphabetical order that makes sense for people that are looking at artist lists. So if I do a hard refresh of this store right now, you can see we had a little loading artist icon that showed up for a second, and a lot of this is cached on the server side on Shopify because I just loaded this page a minute ago, so it was a little bit quicker than it happens the first time in a while. It probably takes up to 5 seconds sometimes, but we also had to put a loading icon in place so that while that 5 seconds was going on, we're letting people know that, hey, no, we're still doing something here. Just wait a moment and you'll have your page for you here. So this was a large amount of work, right? This is a massive catalog, lots and lots of products, lots and lots of vendors, lots and lots of collections. And we had to iterate on this a few times because we would do a little bit of work. We would show it to the store staff and they're like, well, why is the Rolling Stones under the T's? And we're like, oh, you want under the R's. So then we figured out how to do that, right? And then we show it to them again and they're like, great, it's now under the R's, but it's still under the T section of the R's, not the RO section of the R's. Like, oh, we got that rule. And, so it took a little bit of back and forth, to play with the experience, to realize, because we didn't know up front, none of us knew all the rules that we would put into this. But once you start building something like this in an interactive fashion with us as the development team and the store staff working together to see how that experience works and iterating on it a few times, we came up with what I think is a really nice solution for such a large catalog to be able to shop by artist. So that this one was a lot of work, right? But well worth it. Their store is going to be much better off with this now in place. Now we're going to move to our last store example. This is Scorpion Percussion. I got 2 different examples in Scorpion that I want to show you because we're doing a lot of work in this store and working on the customer experience and making things easier for customers to shop for. This product that I have up right now, it's called Your Band Work Shirt, is actually not for sale yet. The product is actually hidden, which is why it's all the variations of it are showing as sold out. But what we've done here, remember we had the concept a little while ago of the quick order form for the botanical medicine website where they were ordering the different things they wanted to do when they attended the course. So we take that same concept, but we do this one at the product level. So here, if you're a band, because this is, a band wants to come in and buy a shirt from Scorpion Percussion to sell to their fans. They're not going to buy one of these shirts. They're going to buy, 100 or 200 or 500, and they're going to buy all these different sizes and colors that are available to give all the choice to their fans that they can when they're selling this merch on their tour. So what we do is on this shirt, all the product options are now quick order options. So we're showing all of the product options and allowing you to add a quantity for each and every one of them. So right now, I can see in size small, I can have color black or color gray. Now it's all showing as sold out right now because this product's not live. But if I change that quantity to 10 for each one of them, I can order 10 of the smalls, and maybe I want 15 of each of the mediums. And then I want, 20 of the larges and 15 of the extra larges. And, maybe I'm, going to want to have 15 of the double X's, and I'm not going to keep going here because there's more sizes. But now I can put all those quantities in. It highlights as green when I put, data in there, so I know which ones I filled out, and I can see which ones I haven't filled out yet, so I can go fill those in if I want to. And then with one click of the button, all of those products and variants are going to be added into my cart. I'm getting an error on my screen right now saying it's sold out because our products aren't live yet for this one. But this allows people to do bulk orders, bulk purchases of multiple sizes and options in, one page instead of going back and forth and in and out of the page, add this to the cart, come back, change the options, add the next ones to the cart, and those kind of things. We also, when we built this form for the product page, we allow you to bucketize. So right now, I'm seeing size small first, and then it shows colors for small are black and gray. We could have done the exact opposite. And it's just a setting in the section that we built. You just click which option is most important, 1, 2, or 3. So this is option 1, size being the most important one, or the top level decision. What we could have done is we could have said option number 2, which is color. What I would see at the top would say black, and underneath that would be small, medium, large, extra large, double extra large. And then it would show, color gray, small, medium, large, extra large. So we allow the store staff to change, which ways they sort it, or it can just be unsorted and just shows all of them the way that they're showing in the product database. So this is a useful way to allow, bulk purchases without going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This took quite a bit of work also to build out, probably 5 hours, I'm going to guess. There was a lot of testing to make sure all the edge cases worked properly. Does it have 1 option, 2 options, or 3 options? How many? What number of options do they have? That's what I mean when I talk about all the edge cases. So it's a little bit of work, but they're doing this. Once we built this template, we applied it to like 10 different products that have this scenario of bands are going to be buying this as their merch with their logos on it in different sizes or different colors. So that makes it easy for the bands to come in and do all of that quickly and easily. And now for my last example, we're going to stay on Scorpion Percussion and show you something we just launched probably about a month ago. I'm super excited about, if you listen to the podcast a lot, you've heard me talk about the concept of linear shopping experiences, where instead of making all the choices in parallel, you want to make a single choice at a time. And how when I design navigation and collections and list of collections and products, I'm always trying to minimize the number of choices being made at any given time. Well, that's what we did kind of to an extreme in a good way here on this drumsticks page. So Scorpion Percussion sells drumsticks, and there's lots of options in drumsticks, right? There's different sizes, there's different shapes, there's different colors, there's different lengths. And we couldn't just have one product for drumsticks. There's just too many options and too many choices going on. So what we did instead of having a collection or having a product is we just made a page that brings in the choices you need to make and doesn't change what collection or products you're not navigating through pages when you enter this experience. So, the first choice you have to make is, do you want their A stock, which is their good sticks, or do you want their B stock, which are the imperfections, right? So I'm just going to select A stock. And then what I see on my screen, and we optimize this for mobile. So I'm going to show, for those watching the video, the mobile view of this, because we actually made this a really fancy page on desktop. There was a lot going on. I was super happy. I was totally geeking out, right? The geek in me was loving what we were doing. Like, I could hover over one element. It would show me all this trickle-down effects of it for the next 4 choices I was going to make. But what we found out was on mobile, it was just too complicated. It was too hard. People didn't get it, right? It didn't make sense. There's too much, too small of a screen for too much information, which is a common mobile problem. So we optimized for mobile, took out all the extra cool stuff we were doing on desktop, and just made it for mobile. And what we're doing here is we're walking the customer through the decisions they need to make to pick their drumstick. And there's 4 decisions they have to make beyond the one they've already made. So there's a total of 5 decisions. Actually 6 when we get to the end, I think. All right, that first decision was A stock or B stock of drumsticks. The second decision is, what is your diameter? And there's actually 7 diameters shown here. They have names. We show it in inches and centimeters, and they can say, well, I want the 3A diameter. So they click on 3A, and then the next choice is, well, what shape do you want? And depending on which diameter they picked, there's different shapes. So in this one here, the 3A has an acorn shape, a ball shape, and an oval shape. Now, if I had picked 8D, it's only available in the barrel shape, so it automatically selected that and took me to the next choice of length. But if I had picked the 5A, it's got the same, choices as the 3A. So depending which diameter you pick, it's going to show different shapes. So the 2B only has acorn and oval available. Step 1, tell us your diameter. Step 2, tell us your shape. Now I'm going to pick the acorn shape for the 2B diameter. And now my next choice is, well, what length do you want? There's the 16-inch, 16 and a half, and 17, with a little explanation, not a lot, but a little, to explain the differences, why you would pick one length over the other. And then when you pick your length, it then asks you what grip you want. Do you want lacquer, natural, or venom? Little description about them. And it also talks about how that affects the price of the product. All right, so then we select that. And then lastly, do you want to print on these drumsticks? Because a lot of bands will get their band logo printed on the drumstick, so when they throw it to the crowd at the end of using it, the fan has a little token of the band kind of thing. I can say, no, I don't want printing, or yes, I do want printing. And if you do want printing, it says, a minimum order of 12 is required. So if I click on signature printing, it then asks me, do you want to upload an image, or do you want to use an image on file? Because a lot of bands come in and just order, regularly through the site, so they have to upload the image every time. They can just upload or use the image they've already used before. And I'm going to say use image on file, and then it automatically uses a quantity of 12, because that's the minimum order quantity for the printing. And the product form will not let me, take that down to 11. I can go up to 13, 14, 15 if I want to. And I see the impact on my price as I'm doing that the whole time. And any time in this process, I can hit the back button and go to the previous step. So I just selected signature printing, and I'm like, well, I didn't really want to order 12 of them. I just wanted to check that thing out. So then I get no printing. It starts me off at a minimum order quantity of one pair of drumsticks. In this, very linear shopping experience type experience here, I'm step by step walking the customer through many, many different decisions, right? Haven't mentioned products at all. All I'm asking are questions, and the customer's giving me an answer. What diameter do you want? What type of shape do you want? What length do you want? And then when they finally hit the add to cart button, we take all the information they've given us, map that to the product catalog, and show them the product that maps to all the answers they gave. So now I see a product that has a acorn style tip, a 16-inch length, venom grip finish, diameter of 2B. So that information's all there in my cart. So the way we do this is we actually have a comma separated file that shows all the different options that are available, and then what product variants they lead to, and then we have a lot of code around that. This was a very costly, from a time standpoint, project, but when I showed it to the store owner, he was absolutely delighted, right? They actually have a mobile phone app that does a lot of this functionality, and having a hard time maintaining that app and keeping it up to date as all these things change. And he's so happy that he now has that same level of functionality that he had in a custom built app right in his website that anybody can access from any device without having to download an app and all that kind of stuff. And he's absolutely loving this functionality, and the customers are finding the shopping experience much, much easier. Because the way it used to be was a collection that showed all these different products with all this terminology. You really weren't sure what decisions you were making when you were picking one product over another. So we broke it down so it's a decision-making engine and easier for customers to navigate through and understand the cause and effect behind what they're doing. So that's the set of products I wanted to show you guys. So that's the set of theme customizations that we've done recently here at Jade Puma that I wanted to share with you all to get you thinking about what shopping experience does your store miss today because, the theme doesn't do certain things that you want to do. Whether that's having a shopping experience that's bespoke to the decision-making process of your store, or enforcing business rules that are important to your business, or just, making things a little more common sense for customers. customizing your theme, doing custom code inside of your theme is possible for every theme in the Shopify ecosystem. And it's not that hard, right? If you hire a Shopify expert, or if you're comfortable with code yourself, anybody can open up the code and edit it. But there's a whole ecosystem of Shopify experts out there that can help you do this type of stuff. So the uber point of this podcast episode is, don't think that your theme, functionality restricts you or constrains you. You can totally draw outside those lines if you're willing to customize your code. Hope that was insightful for you. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Shopify Solutions podcast with Scott Austin. This podcast is brought to you by Jade Puma, a Shopify-focused agency located in San Diego, California. If you like what you heard, please leave a review and subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to work with Scott on your brand, email him at scott@jadepuma.com.